When you're an entrepreneur and you start, especially in the fitness industry, the hardest businesses in the world. In my business in Bodify, it was probably year 2. We were into it. I hadn't made a dime, and we were 2 years into it. And finally, my savings account was starting to get real thin.
You decided you were going to bolt on DECA to this. Where did that come from?
Wow, it came out of nowhere. Coach Yancey was my coach, and it helped me become a much better racer. He's fiery and he's a great salesman, and he'll talk you into anything, man. When DECA started coming around, he knew that I had Bodify. And he hit me up one day, and he was like, "Man, I got this project."
That's right. Yeah. Ricardo's Rules of Resilience. Tune in, people. Every episode is impactful. You become more burly just by listening. Let's go.
Welcome, everyone, to Ricardo's Rules of Resilience, the podcast that gives you the tools to withstand and recover from difficulties. And today, I am joined by special guest Pete Saenz. He is the owner and founder of Bodify Functional Fitness all the way down in Laredo, Texas. He is a Spartan ultra racer who has done 19 ultra races, which is 19 more than I want to do. But look, he might be the owner of the world's strongest wall. I don't know how it's holding up all those medals behind him. Goodness gracious. He's made it to 3 Ultra World Championships, including Iceland, Colorado, and France, and even podium at the World Championship. Pete, welcome to Ricardo's Rules of Resilience.
How you doing, Ricardo?
Fantastic.
Happy to be here, my man.
I am so glad we get to do this together. You and I
Absolutely.
both share a passion for a few things: fitness, the DECA that we do, hybrid racing, as well as more specifically, and just improving people's lives through fitness. And so I'm glad to get here, man. Thank you, sir. Well, we like to start out by you giving us the 1-minute elevator speech. Who is Pete Saenz?
Well, I'm a 51-year-old. I like to consider myself an athlete and entrepreneur. And I'm an accountant by trade, CPA firm for the last 25 years. And about 8 years, I opened up my own fitness facility, Bodify Functional Fitness, here in Laredo, Texas. And I got into Spartan racing about a decade ago, into my early 40s, and fell in love with the sport. It kind of took me back to my roots of being an athlete and just being a kid. It's if you've ever been in a Spartan race, it just takes you back to those days outdoors and and just having fun with fitness, and find what works for you. And then once I opened up Bodify, I found out that you could inspire people and get people moving. And, like Coach Yancey always says, it's the best drug in the world, fitness. And I truly believe it. It really gets people together. And when you train for these sort of things, whether it's Spartan, DECA, High Rocks, you're suffering together and you're making friends and you're building family. I just truly enjoy doing that, and it keeps me young too, man. I'm 51, and I feel like, most days I feel like I'm still in my 20s, 30s. Some days, maybe not so much, but definitely, it's fitness is the fountain of youth. I truly believe that, and yeah, we're here to inspire, and we're here to help people get there.
Well, speaking of inspiration, Pete, you've withstood and recovered from some difficulties in your own life, and
Sure.
Not to mention the resilience it takes to get through 19 Spartan ultra races. Share a little bit about what you've overcome.
Well, I'll start with ultras. I think it is a kind of a microcosm of life itself. You once you get onto that start line, you're excited, you're nervous, you're every feeling in the book. You're gonna run up and down a mountain for probably over 10 hours, and you know it's going to be a long day, you know, and so you go in knowing like this is going to be tough. I'm going to get tested. I'm going to have to make a decision at some point whether I'm going to continue, because we all have that little demon that's going to start talking to us. And every race is the same way. You know, like I said, I've been to 19 of them. There's always that moment is, what the hell am I doing? You know, this, I'm too old for this. Oh, you know, this hurts, that hurts. And you have to push through and get through it. And that's just like life, you know. I'll give a speech to whoever, young people, you know, business owners, and I'm like, you're gonna have that moment in life or in business that is gonna test you. And you have to remember your why. You know, what are you doing this for? Who are you doing this for? Who are you? You have to remind yourself and tell yourself that you're the person that can get through this. You train for this. You studied for this. You have these people that are dependent on you to do this, and you have to push through and get through. And just like in that race, you know, you see that finish line, you see, you know, something happens great with your business or great in your family, and makes it worthwhile. But you will be tested, you know. Yes, you will be tested. It's I've had so many things go wonderful in business, and I've had some not so great things happen. Like when you're an entrepreneur and you start, especially in the fitness industry, you know, those, you know, it's one of the hardest businesses in the world, you know, and for many multiple reasons. But those first couple of years are brutal, man. I mean, you go in wanting to change the world, right? You know, it's the best feeling in the world. You see people coming in and you're changing lives and you're talking to people, and I swear it's the best job in the world. It's it's tough when you start looking at that bank account and people are, you know, not coming in the way you thought, and you have to really get into the business part of it, and try to make a buck, you know, and be successful so you can help more people. It's never about chasing money. It's about changing lives. But obviously, we need the finances to help us get there. And it's
the landlord and the utility company want something more than please and thank you. Yeah,
absolutely. You know, and the employees, you know, they love you to death, but they want to get paid too.
Yeah.
And you know, the owner eats last, and sometimes it's tough. So there's lots of resilience that you have to be, especially at the beginning, you know, when you're trying to build your brand and just earning a name for yourself. And it really is earning a name for yourself.
Yeah. What do you feel like for you were the moments that most tried you, that made you most have to fight that voice in your head that was telling you shouldn't have done this?
I'll tell you, in my business in Bodify, it was probably year 2. We were into it. I hadn't made a dime, and we were 2 years into it. And my savings account was starting to get real thin, and you come into that point where, I mean, I have my lease for 3 years, you know, so I'm stuck in this lease for 3 years. You figured everything that you did wrong, you know, because as you're going, you're like, you start off one way thinking you're going to be this type of business, and then it just morphed into whatever it's going to be, and we turned into almost something very different than I intended. What I mean by that, I went in to be more of a high-end personal training studio, and we threw in group training on the side, like just to make, you know, some money, just to get us started, and then we'll eventually turn into what we wanted to be. Well, you know what? We turned into a group fitness facility. Because that's where the money came in, you know, and we saw that we could do that real good. So we still did personal training, but we turned into maybe probably 70% group training, 30% personal training. I ran out of space for all these group training classes that we were doing. So I was like, we're going to max out at a certain point because of my space. So I was like, man, how am I going to make it through these first 3 years knowing I'm kind of capped at this business plan. And it was like, you get tested, like, man, can we continue to lose money at the rate that we were losing money, and can I make it to where we could eventually transition into something bigger, which is more money, scarier, different location. And so do you push through, like we were talking about earlier? When you're faced with that hard time, do you stop? You can't stop, it's like the bills keep on coming, helping people is still part of the plan, but how do we do this? And we still have a year left to go, and that's a lot of money, that I was losing at the time. And like I said, savings account was getting real thin. So it was just like, do you go ask for help? No bank's going to give you in the fitness industry, nobody's going to give you a loan, do you go hit up family, or do you just push through and make it work? And that was probably the hardest moment when I really had to think about closing. And not only would that hit the ego, because up until that point, I had been pretty successful in my other business ventures. And, to take a hit like that where you're a failure, you're going to fail is tough. And so do you do that? Do you ask for help? Do you go to family like, hey, you come bail me out, which is a tough conversation, as well.
Yes.
So, or do you just start thinking of different things that can, let's skim over here so we can just make it work until you can get to the point to where it works. And eventually, I just kind of like, hey, let's tighten up the belt. Even on my personal things, I was like, okay, I know this year I got to tighten up. Maybe no vacation this year, and push through, because you have the belief. And I never 100% lost it. I was tested, and I was probably pretty close to like, what, I can't. It's not worth the stress. I'm in my 40s. I don't want this kind of stress, or I'm going to go change a whole lot of lives. I'm going to push through this, and I am going to make it to the other side, because now I know what I need to do. And year 3 came, we tightened up. We started making money in year 3 finally. And then we moved places to a bigger place. And then guess what happened, Ricardo? COVID. I was like, man, this is brutal.
Yes.
Like, the timing on this was ridiculous. But that too, I think that tested everybody. The whole world was tested, changed our world.
Yes.
But you know what? We came out the other side. We're a stronger company for it. And we're here today. I mean, we're going on 9.5 years now. And I have a second location, and now I'm kind of going through those same growing pains with my second location. But now I'm a little more educated, and I know that what better to do nowadays.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you remember when you told me you had your accounting firm. I said, oh, so you were making too much money in the accounting business and decided you needed to spend it on a gym.
I needed an expense. I wish it was that.
This would be a great tax shelter. I could definitely show a loss here.
It helped with my taxes, I can tell you that for sure. Those first couple years were I wasn't paying any tax.
Yeah. That's the thing about the gym business. As you said, we can change lives, but we better really believe in it, because if we don't, and we're just in it for the quick buck, and we don't have that grit and willingness to see through, we're going to be disillusioned. And I don't think you know this about me, but my gym, I opened January 20th of 2020. Ooh. So I was open just 9 weeks. Yeah. And thank God we pulled it through. But I tell people, you're not really an entrepreneur till you wake up out of a dead sleep with your heart pounding as if you've just been running wind sprints. Then you're an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. Then you know what it feels like to be an entrepreneur. I same thing. It's like jumping off a cliff, and you're building the parachute on the way down, That's what I compare it to. It's like you don't know what's going to happen. You have the best intentions. You know, I always say this, like, I never chase money. I just want to be the best at what I do, and then money will eventually come. But so you're right. You have to believe in it so much that you're willing to put yourself through that, to put your family through that, because it's not only you. You know, it's everybody behind you and with you in this, and it's a lot, especially the fitness industry. By far, I'm an accountant, and I help a lot of people with different types of businesses and restaurants, and but more than even restaurants, fitness facilities, because you want to do so much good. We're people pleasers, you know. Business, you know, fitness guys are people pleasers. You want to help the world. You have the best intentions.
Yeah.
I've never met one that's different than that. Like we all want to do great.
Yeah.
But it is, people are finicky, and you know, and it's emotions, and nobody loves it, you know, like you love it. And
Yeah.
so you think that everybody's just going to walk in and turn into these, now I'm a fitness person. Well, they don't, because real life happens, and kids happen, and jobs happen. And so it's not that easy. And I definitely learned that. And it tests everybody.
You know, Pete, when I sold my gym, people were asking me, so what are you going to do now? And just as a joke, I would say, well, I'm going to sell ice cream and cigarettes and stuff I don't have to talk people into buying, you know.
I'm going to hit the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, because everybody, the first thing they want to quit, they cut when they got, oh, their transmission went out. Well, I better not be fit anymore. Well, you sure you can't cut out like the movies, or, you know, like, really? You're going to cut your fitness first, you know?
For real. The only thing that's going to help you through this is you're cutting meat. But it's hard, you know, and I get it. Fitness is hard, and it's scary, and we can do as much as we can do and try to change people, but you're not going to win them all. And it's a tough industry for sure.
Well, you know, you have decided that part of what you want to do at Bodify, and as you said, Bodify made it through some hard times. Now you've got second location, different type of growing pains, but along the way, you decided you were going to bolt on DECA to this. Where did that come from?
Wow, it came out of nowhere. You know, to be honest, I think I saw, you know, when I was really getting into Spartan racing, Coach Yancey was my coach. I would buy his program, and it helped me become a much better racer, because I was always into fitness. I consider myself athletic and an athlete, and but at the beginning, you know, when you start getting into Spartan racing, it was fun. I didn't expect to be super competitive. But it kept me in shape, you know, and I was having a good time with it. And then my competitiveness came out, and I was like, I think I could be good at this, you know, before I get too old, you know. I want to really focus. My OCD got in, and like, I can do it, you know. So then I was like, I need a coach, because I only know so much. And so I got Yancey as my coach. So, you know, I would talk to him every now and then, and you know Coach Yancey. You know, he's fiery, and he's a great salesman, and he'll talk you into anything, man. With fire.
Yeah.
So anyways, like when DECA started coming around, he knew that I had Bodify, and he hit me up one day, and he was like, "Man, I got this project. I think it's gonna be great. It fits you guys from what I know of your gym." So we got on. I was actually on vacation in Cancun with my wife, and I got on a call with him, or a Google Meet, and I put my staff on, and we talked about it, and I was like, man, I think this could be really cool. I had done some research into it and into hybrid type racing, and you could tell that it was going to start exploding, kind of like the way CrossFit kind of did. It had that same feel to me. It's fun, you know, everybody could do it. It sounded great. Yancey was backing it, and that guy's got all the energy in the world.
Right.
Spartan was behind it, which I loved.
Spartan.
And big bucks behind it. So I go, this could probably be something pretty good for the gym. So we bought in completely because at the beginning you had to buy a ton of equipment that I didn't really use, you know. So we had the Rams, we bought a ton of Rams, we bought the tanks back in the day.
Yeah. Oh boy, those are pretty funny.
Yeah, you know. So it was a commitment, but we made it, and I'll tell you what, I'm so glad we did. Looking back at it now, but those, you know, I was happy to get 30 people at my, you know, event, and most of them were my staff, you know. So it was me and my staff, and then maybe, you know, 20 members that kind of bought it. We did it there, kind of at our location in the back part, and you know what? People were having fun though, and we just really went all in. We pushed in. We bought more equipment because you could tell the potential was there. And once we started like taking people out of town and kind of do what we did with Spartan, is travel together. You know, we would go to the Austin race. We started hitting up High Rocks events, and it just, the whole community started building. And then, you know, it just started, okay, we started our first event, 30 people. Then it was like 40 at the next one. And we always try to have about 3 or 4 a year. And then it just kept on growing little by little. And I'll tell you what, once we started getting other gyms involved in our city, it kind of started to explode, you know, and we would see different gyms being competitive with each other and friendly competition, all in the name of fitness. And you would see, you know, all shapes and sizes of people starting to come out because we started making it okay and making it a safe place where you're not getting judged and where you're competing not only with the person next to you, but really with yourself, and like, hey, I know there's another one in a few months. I'm going to see if I can do this one, and I'm going to be a little bit better on the next one. So it started growing on itself. And then, you know, year after year, we got into the hundreds, and we were like, oh my God, we got 100 people coming to this event, you know, and then we would rent out spaces. We got a DJ, we had photographers. Like, we started, whatever we learned from going to the big events, the High Rockses and the Deca Fits, and even Spartan to a certain extent, we started using that ourselves. Like, hey, people are having a great time. Who doesn't love seeing themselves all over social media, you know, pictures and stuff. So then it started just like, boom, and then we made a huge jump. And I think we went from like 100 to like 175, you know. Woo! Yeah, and it was like, how the hell are we going to do this? You know, there's a lot of people we sold. So it was getting volunteers and different people. And then on this last one that we just had, man, we hit 247 people.
Amazing.
And it's just like, not that it's not a lot of work, but it is, we have it so streamlined now that it's our procedures and our systems in place to where we can knock this thing out. You know, we did that. We were home by 2:30. You know, just it is a machine that we've built here in town, and it's not only my gym; it's the whole community in the city that comes and like, hey, when's the next one? You know, they're already. I could probably pre-sell for my next race at that race, and we would fill up the place. So we got big plans for it, man.
We're going to get to those plans.